Here's a problem that plagues more startups than simply having the wrong product at the wrong time. You build something that is super innovative. It's faster or cheaper than whatever people were doing before. Early customers maybe even love it, but when it comes time to go to market and scale, you keep hearing the same thing. We'll get to it eventually, just not right now. Well, so that's not a product problem. That is a demand problem. Vanta figured out how to solve that. And the way they did it is easy to replicate. Today, I'm breaking it down into a 4-step framework that you can apply to your own business. Let's start with the problem that Vanta was actually solving. SOC 2 compliance used to be this 10-month, $100,000 process. It was super painful, it was slow, and it was not palatable for most startups. So they didn't bother. So Vanta built software that could get a startup compliant in weeks for a fraction of the cost. By every reasonable measure, that is a great product. It's faster, it is cheaper, and it is objectively less painful. But the market still didn't care. They just said, we'll get to it at some point, but not now. That response kept coming up. And they weren't losing to their competitors. They were just losing to indifference and a lack of urgency to solve a problem that hadn't yet started to hurt. So instead of promoting all of the product features and benefits, Vanta animated a specific moment when not having their product would cause a painful and quantifiable loss for their prospects. Through their marketing, they were able to say, imagine your sales team closes an enterprise deal. Then procurement sends a security questionnaire. It requires SOC 2 Type 2 reports, and you don't have them. So the deal dies, the win goes to the competitor, you lose market share. It's a terrible day. In other words, they said, stop losing enterprise deals that you've already won. So the research on loss aversion is super consistent. People feel losses twice as intensely as the equivalent gains. That's not a marketing trick. That's just how humans process risk. Vanta wasn't manipulating anyone here. They were making visible a loss that was already happening. That's the core insight behind what I'm calling the tangible loss framework that we're breaking down today. So let me walk you through the 4 steps. Step 1 is identify the loss event. This is not what prospects fail to gain. It's what they tangibly lose when they don't have you. Why it works. The loss event has to be something that they've already experienced at least once, and hopefully something they've experienced recently. So if you're inventing a hypothetical future risk, that's not going to land. Your job is to find loss that's already happening and make it visible. Step 2 is quantify the stakes. Vague statements don't create urgency here. How they did it. Vanta didn't just say that compliance was important. They illustrated it. They showed their customers that if the company closes $5 million in enterprise ARR per year, and maybe 10% of those sales require SOC 2, that's $500,000 in pipeline risk just sitting there. Why it works. That's the kind of number that gets a CFO's attention. So build a simple calculator for your target persona. So think about revenue and cost and timelines. Make the stakes specific enough that someone can take it into a budget conversation and get a response. Step 3, align with their calendar. Manufactured urgency just doesn't work with business buyers. They can see right through it. Real urgency comes from their own business cycle. So how they did it. Vanta studied their prospects deeply enough that the CEO said that they could predict over 75% of their prospects' answers to questions. That means they really knew these customers well in each of their verticals. Why it works. That gave them the ability to time their outreach around when compliance conversations were actually happening. The new enterprise contracts, the fundraising rounds, the security audits. So take the time to map your customer's business to a calendar. When do these loss events become the most urgent? Maybe it's when fiscal years end or regulatory deadlines, contract renewals, board reviews. Find the real deadlines and then align your marketing around them. Step 4, offer crash detection. So what do I mean by that? The other day, my truck automatically applied its own brakes when I didn't see a cyclist weaving through traffic. The rush of relief that I felt was immediate because I could instantly see two very different outcomes happening. I didn't appreciate crash detection before that. Now I do. Why it works. Position yourself as the solution to an active problem, not some tool for future optimization. So take a second to audit your homepage and your marketing assets for this. Do they present as features or crash detection? And one important caveat before we wrap up, the tangible loss framework that we're going through today, it breaks when the loss is hypothetical, or when the timing is way too far into the future, or when you don't have the credibility as either an individual or a company to back it up with your customers. If they don't believe that the loss is real or don't believe that you can prevent it, this entire thing collapses. You go from super helpful to pretty manipulative. Vanta's success was not manufacturing fear. The urgency was already there in their market. SOC 2 was already costing their startup customers deals. Vanta just made it visible. So your opportunity is the same. Find where your category already has hidden urgency and then make that loss visible to your prospects. Quantify the stakes, align with their calendar, and offer crash detection. That's not manipulation, that is clarity and value. So if you found this helpful, please subscribe for a new playbook every week. There is also a full written guide to the tangible loss framework right there in the description.